all the questions given in the assignment. Why is it that the case? Yes, Ibrahim? The assignments which you are uploading now, you are answering just a few of the questions. You aren't attempting all the questions. See, all the questions, they are designed in such a manner in order to improve your conceptual understanding of the topic, to improve your conceptual understanding. Okay, now. So thereby it is important that you attempt all the questions. Okay. Okay, Ibrahim. Hmm. All right, so let us continue from the topic which you left. In the previous class, we did learn about some basic things, like we learned what is reproduction. Like apart from reproduction, there are several processes that keeps us alive, and that is important for us to stay alive. Yes, Aisha, what are the important processes that are ongoing in our body that is essential for us to stay alive?
Digestion, ingestion,
Good. And what else?
adgestion,
Absorption of the food. And circulation of the blood, right? Excretion of the food, respiration. All these are the processes that are essential for any living organism to stay alive, right? But it is talked in terms of a survival of an individual organism. Like for a one single organism to stay alive, it needs all this process, whether it be circulation of the blood, whether it be nutrition, taking in the food, digesting the food, absorbing it, assimilation of the food, and excretion, whether it be respiration, whether it be breathing, whether it be pumping of the blood by the heart. No, so all these are the functions that are essential for any living organism to, for particularly for animals to stay alive. Plants also carry out different life processes that are important for them to stay alive. But for the continuity of the species of a particular organism, reproduction is important so that the number of same individual multiplies. Okay, now. So that is why reproduction is important. It allows the continuity of a species of generation after generation, right now. So that is why reproduction is important. Furthermore, it plays an important role in evolution by transmitting favorable variations from one generation to another generation. Like for example, let us take example of some beetles. Okay, let us take some examples of beetles. Say there were two types of beetles. One that were of green color, another one were of the red color. Okay. So say that the beetles would be found in the forest, and which one can camouflage in the forest? The green beetles or the red beetles? Which can camouflage in the forest, can hide themselves in the forest?
Green.
Green one, right? So thereby it will be difficult for other birds, like for example for crows, to identify them between the bushes, between the green leaves, right? So who is at threat? Who is at the threat of extinction? The red or the green one?
Red.
Of course, the red one, right now. So thereby what will happen, that over the course of so many years now, due to a natural selection here, like the green beetles, they would be able to survive because they would be able to do camouflage. They will be able to camouflage in the surrounding. So thereby, what will happen? There's a variation that will take place in the beetles. Slowly, what might happen, that the green beetles would be surviving. Okay, now so it's a natural selection. Getting it? Furthermore, what we have observed, like earlier, most of the our life originated from the water. That's what is the common notion usually. That is how life evolved right now. Not going into the contradictions, what are the contradictory statements, but all of us agree that life originated from water. Initially, we had organisms that can survive only inside the water. Later on, such organisms develop that can survive on water right now, but they had to go back to that can survive on land, but they had to go back to water in order to lay their eggs. But later on, they had to go back to the water in order to lay their eggs. Right now, so they can stay on land for a while, but in order to lay their eggs, they can go back to the water because they were laying the eggs that didn't had a shell covering, that didn't had a protective outer covering. Right now, so they would be laying their eggs in the water. Eventually, after thousands of years, what happened that such kind of organisms started to grow, that started to lay eggs that had a hard shell covering, that had a hard protective layer. So they thereby it was safe to lay their eggs on the land also. You getting at what I'm trying to discuss with you guys?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So variation is taking place in the organisms now, right? Getting it? So earlier you had the aquatic organisms. Later on, amphibians also developed. Right now, eventually there would have come a time in the history of Earth, in the geological time scale of Earth, that the amphibians now could walk on Earth, and that's how mammals would have originated. That's how mammals would have came into existence. Getting it, guys? Huh? So
Yes.
evolution also takes place when reproduction is happening here. Now we are talking about reproduction for probably millions and millions of years right now. So over the course of millions of years, the organisms would be evolving. Getting it now? And they would be evolving in such a manner that the variations that develops in their body would be favorable to them, in order to survive in the habitat, in the environment. So it plays an important role in evolution also by transmitting favorable variation from one generation to another. Like, for example, one generation of organism would have some favorable traits, some favorable characteristics. Like, say, for example, we can take one such example in this manner. Like, there are certain bacteria now that are found in the mouth of the volcano. Okay, now they are found found to be living in the mouth of the volcanoes, and mouth of the volcanoes can have really high temperatures. Okay, now not talking about the active volcano. Okay, now we're not talking about the active volcano, the volcano that is not very active. But there are different types of volcanoes now. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, what are the you guys tell me about this? What are the different types of volcanoes?
Active volcano.
Hmm. And there's one more dormant. Yes, Aisha.
Composite volcanoes.
Repeat again.
Composite volcanoes.
Based on the shape, you are saying based on the shape, actually, based on their activity. Okay, now based on their activity, we have active volcanoes, dormant volcanoes. There's one more, I think, the active that would be regularly erupting. Then you have the dormant that have gone extinct, right? And that wouldn't have erupted in a long while. Getting it now? There's one more, I'm forgetting the name of it. But anyways, the main point of the discussion here is that there would be certain kind of bacteria that would be found to be living in the mouth of the volcanoes, and they can survive up to temperature of 130 degrees Celsius. Getting it? That is a very high temperature, right? So eventually, they would be the first generation of those bacteria would not have had that capacity. Okay, now it would not have evolved to such a degree that it could survive in such temperature. generations after generations, certain variations would have taken place in their genetic materials. They could have certain variations in their DNA. Getting it what I'm trying to say? Let's say if in the second generation there were some changes in their DNA, right? In the third generation, those changes multiplied further. So generations after generations, what happened? Those bacteria evolved, huh, because of some variations which were favorable to them, and they evolved to such a state, to such a degree that they can even survive this much of temperature, survive in this extreme condition. You guys getting it what I'm trying to say? How
Yes, sir.
evolution. Okay, no. So that is the thing. So there are various significance of reproduction. One, that it ensures the continuity of a species generation after generation. Another thing is that it plays an important role in evolution by transmitting favorable variation from one generation to another. Hope you guys have got this. Okay. So the definition of the reproduction was that it's a biological process by which an organism reproduces an offspring that is biologically of the same kind. Okay, now that is biologically of the same kind. Like a cat gives birth to a cat only. Okay, now a biologically similar organism. It ensures and enables the continuity of a species generation after generation. That is something which we have done. In the image, we can see four different organisms, right? In the first two images, which one of them is oviparous and which one of them is viviparous? Aisha will tell me about the difference between viviparous and oviparous animals. Yes. What are viviparous animals, Aisha? Yes, please repeat again. Answer this.
Yes,
Guys, am
sir.
I not audible to you? Yeah, I'm saying what do you understand by viviparous and oviparous animals?
Oviparous lays eggs.
Hmm. And viviparous gives birth to uh, directly gives birth to the organism of same kind, right now. Okay. So what we see over here, that these organisms would be doing sexual reproduction. Okay, now, and the sexual reproduction, the organisms would be of two kind. Like one that would be directly giving birth to the organisms of the same kind, or another one that would be giving birth to organisms of the same kind, but they would be laying the eggs. Right now, that are oviparous. The first one is viviparous animals. Later on, we will learn about some other aspects of this also. Okay. Now, then we have certain organisms. Also, one more important thing: two partners are required for the birth of the cat or for this hen, right? Or for this bird. One male and female parent is required. While we have certain examples of reproduction where two parents are not required. Right now, getting it. So another important aspect of reproduction is that it can be of two types: sexual and asexual reproduction. Okay, now talking about sexual mode of reproductions, in the case of most of the mammals, most of the animals, humans, cockroaches, etc., they will go through sexual reproduction in which two parents would be required. How many? Two biological parents would be required. Okay. While in the asexual reproduction, only one biological parent is required. So there are different modes of reproduction. One is asexual, another one is sexual. In asexual mode of reproduction, we have fission, you have fragmentation, budding, regeneration, spore formation. All this which would be learning one after another. But first, we would be learning the sexual reproduction in the chapter. Later on, in the next later part of the chapter, we would be learning about asexual reproduction. Okay, now. But before that, let us summarize the difference between the two, how these two modes of reproduction are different from each other before we look into it. Okay, now see, the first thing is now in the case of sexual reproduction, what will happen? There's two parents. One is the female parent, another one is the male parent. Getting it, both of you? Female parent and male parent. Okay. Now these male and female parents, or these male and female partners, their body will be producing some sex cells. Okay, now their body produces some sex cells which we call as gamete cells. What do we call them as? Gametes. They are basically sex cells. Getting it? So the egg, that is ovum, or the sperm, these are the two types of gametes cells. Okay, now gametes are basically sex cells, namely egg or ovum is produced in the female while sperm is produced in the male body. Okay, now which part of the body produces these sex cells, that we will discuss while we will be talking about sexual reproduction in humans. Okay, as of now, try to understand that the growth of the baby will take place now. The birth of the baby will take place when these two sex cells will merge into each other, will fuse together. Getting it? So when the sperm would be fusing with the ovum, then what happens? A cell is formed. You guys try to understand what I'm trying to explain here. When a sperm would be fertilized, would be fusing with the ovum, so it leads to formation of a cell called as zygote, okay, which is just made up of one cell. This is a single cell. Later on, it will start to multiply. The number of cells in this will start to go on to multiply right now. Then eventually it will form into embryo. Later on, this embryo will grow into fetus. Fetus is basically the unborn baby. What is fetus? It is the unborn baby. And eventually, when after, like in the case of humans, after 9 months of pregnancy, birth of the baby will take place. So what we have observed so far, two parents are required in sexual reproduction, right? And it's a complicated process. It will take place inside the body of the female. The fusion of these male and female sex cells, that is the gametes takes place inside the body of the female. Getting it? It takes a longer duration. 9 months of times. 9 months duration is required for the development of the unborn baby. Both of you turn your cameras on in the class. Both of you. Both of you turn your cameras on in the class, first of all. Yes. Aisha and Ibrahim, both of you, please turn your cameras on in the class.
Sir, I have some network issue.
Okay, okay. Aisha, what about you?
Sir, I have turned on.
Okay. So far what we learned about sexual reproduction now. The first thing we learned that in sexual reproduction, just let me write the bullet points. Okay, now. How many parents are required?
Two.
Two parents required. Okay. Another thing is that there is fusion of the sex cells, right? Fusion basically means merging of something, mixing of something. Okay, now. So fusion of gametes, which are basically the sex cells, will take place here. Okay. Furthermore, it's a complicated process, isn't it? It's a complicated process, right? More time is required for development of baby. For the development of baby, more time is required. These are the characteristics of sexual reproduction so far, which we have learned. Although other things also we have learned now, that you guys tell me, the baby that is born, are they identical to their parents in look? Are they identical or different?
They are identical.
No, they are not identical. They are similar, but they are not identical. There's a difference between the terms similar and identical. Identical is something which is exact copy. Okay, na? Identical means exact copy. Like twin, twin children, they are exact copy of each other. Right now, it never has happened that the born baby will be identical in look to their parents. They will be similar. Okay, na? Since they are the child of humans, so they will also look similar to humans. So similarity or identicality, those are two different things. Getting it, Aisha and Ibrahim?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So another
Yes.
important characteristics which we have observed here is that if we have some space over here, okay, let me write it over here. So offspring isn't identical to their parent, to their parent. Okay. Another important thing is that like when a frog lays eggs in the pond, or when mosquitoes lays egg in the pond, or fishes lays eggs in the pond. So there are chances that probably hundreds and thousands of their offspring would be produced. Right now, one fish or one mosquito or one frog would be laying thousands of eggs right now, and those eggs are fertilized by the sperm. So what happens now? Thousands and thousands of mosquitoes would be growing at one single time. But in the case of sexual reproduction, usually one birth takes place. Like in the case of humans, there are certain cases where two births can take place. Getting it, guys? Huh? And exceptionally, there have been some cases where a woman gave birth to more than two childs, even three childs, and even four childs. Getting it, guys? Now, a few years ago, a few months ago, I think I heard the news that a woman gave birth to five child. Huh? There was a woman who gave birth to several childs at one single time. Getting it, guys? So they happen, but that is rare case. Okay, no? Like there was a woman, I think in Jharkhand, I believe. Okay, no, who gave birth to five children at one single time. But it's a rare occurrence. But although as compared to the what do I say? As compared to the asexual reproduction, it is far less. Getting it, guys? So at one single time, what happens? Few offsprings are few offsprings takes birth. Is that much clear to everyone so far? To both of you?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
By the way, I wanted to know that how you guys have been making notes of the chapter. You guys have been preparing the notes or not? Hmm? Have you guys been preparing the notes, Aisha and Ibrahim?
No, sir.
No.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have been. That's good. Aisha, see, it will be
Sir,
Mhm.
I write the important points first, mainly important points.
Okay, okay,
Yes, sir. I also wrote some important points.
okay. That's good. See, I would
And,
encourage. Mhm.
and I am following school notes.
Okay, okay. You have the school notes.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. Hmm. Okay, that's good. But I would encourage you to try to write the important points which you discuss in the class. At least don't miss all of that. Okay, na? So it would
Okay.
be important for you to helpful for you when you revise it. Okay, na?
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So these are the important characteristics of the sexual reproduction, right? Now talking about the asexual reproduction, in that case, what happens? See, the very first point I think you guys can answer to me. How many parents would be required?
One.
Wow.
Single parent is required. Okay, that is one thing. Now the offsprings born in this manner, like for example, we have the example of amoeba. Okay, now okay. Now amoeba does binary fission. Remember moments ago we got to learn about this about fission. Fission basically an organism is splits into two or more than two parts. Okay, now fission is of by the way two types. One is called as binary fission. Okay, now let me just write it over here. One is called as binary fission. What does the word binary mean? Yes, binary means two. Okay, now binary means two, and fission means splitting. So when an organism would be splitting into two half, so that is said to be going through binary fission. Okay, now so amoeba does binary fission where a single parent will split into two daughter cells or two offsprings. So one single parent is required. Getting it, guys? Over here. Got this so far now. That is one
Yes, sir.
thing. Furthermore, there are some other characteristics of asexual reproduction. That the offspring would be identical to their parent. Like this amoeba, okay, now this amoeba was identical to its parent cell right now. Also, basically here the parent cell has vanished now. The parent cell basically split into two daughter cells. So is the parent cell existing here? The parent cell has basically vanished now. Getting it? What I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
Hmm. So another important thing is that offsprings are identical to their parents. So that is there is no genetic variation, no variation in their genetic substances, no variation in the DNA or gene. The DNA of the parent is basically same to the DNA of the daughter cells. That is one thing. Okay. Furthermore, is it a very complicated process? Yes. Is it a very complicated and lengthy process?
No,
No,
sir.
No,
right?
sir.
So it is simpler as compared to the sexual mode of reproduction. Now you guys tell me, are there any role of the male and female sex cells? Is there any role of sperm or ovum?
No, sir.
No, sir.
Good. So no role of gametes is observed in this. Getting it? A no role of gametes. Getting it, guys? So these are characteristics of the some of the characteristics of the sexual reproduction. I mean, asexual reproduction, which we have learned. Getting it, both of you? So let us quickly sum it up. It is a uniparental type of reproduction in which one parent is required. There is no involvement of the gametes, right? And no role of gametes, right? Furthermore, the offsprings would be identical to their parent. We have one such example of amoeba. We have several other examples also. Like we have the example of Hydra, Spirogyra. We'll be discussing about that in the later part of the chapter, right? Also, it takes place very quickly, right now. So the reproduction is rapid. It's a rapid multiplication, right now. It is simpler as compared to the sexual mode of reproduction. Furthermore, we can say that it is rapid reproduction. The rate of reproduction is rapid in this. Okay, now. So hope you guys have understood it so far. Let us summarize it. Okay, now. By the way, before we summarize this thing, now there's one more important thing I need to tell you guys. See, our bodies now, our body of any organism usually that can go through sexual reproduction, like humans and most of the mammals. Right now, we humans are also mammals. So we have two type of cells in our body. Okay, one is called as somatic cells, another one is called as sex cells. Okay, now what I'm trying to explain over here, like in our body, in the body of female, all the cells can be grouped into two types. One cell, a cell that will be participating in reproduction, and cells that will not be participating directly in reproduction. So for example, the cells of the hair, the cells of the different muscles, the cells of the heart or the brain or other different organs, or the bones, they will not be participating directly into the process of reproduction. huh? It's the sperm that participates in reproduction. Getting it, guys?
Yes, sir.
Same in the case of female also. It's the ovum or the egg that participates in reproduction, not the hair, not the skin, not the muscles, not the organs, etc. Not the cells of other parts of the body. Getting it? So the cells can be categorized as cells that do not participate in reproduction, which are called as somatic cells. SOMATIC, somatic cells. Okay, now. So in the case of the amoeba, for example, it doesn't have any sex cells now. It doesn't have any sperm or ovum, nothing like that, right? So what kind of cell this amoeba has? Important thing to note is that somatic cells are cells that don't participate in sexual reproduction. Getting it? So what kind of what kind of cells this amoeba has? Somatic cells or gamete cells?
Somatic cells.
Somatic cells now. Got this? So what kind of cell is participating in this amoeba? Somatic cells are participating. Same in the case of other organisms that will do asexual reproduction, like this planidia or this hydra. uh, so they also are having somatic cells. They don't have any gamete cells. Okay, you guys give some examples of somatic cells in our body. Hmm? Yes, it's not that difficult. It's very simple. Basically, cells of the bones, cells of the heart, cells of any organ, any cell except for sperm or in the female ovum will be called as somatic cells. Getting it now, both of you?
Yes, sir.
Hmm.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now let us quickly sum up the differences between the two. Okay. By the way, the germ cells over here, now they are basically being referred to the gamete cells. Okay, now so just let me, in place of this, write. Hmm. So the very first difference which you discussed between the two is that the asexual reproduction requires just one parent. It is uniparental. By the way, guys, I mean, am I visible to you guys or not?
Yes, sir, you are visible.
Okay, good. While in the sexual reproduction, two parents are required. In asexual reproduction, somatic cells are involved, while in the sexual reproduction, gamete cells, namely sperm and ovum, are involved in this. Namely, sperm or ovum would be involved in this, right? It involves the production of asexual spores, right? It involves the formation and fusion of gametes, the same thing. Basically, asexual spores. Now, it here we have some examples of like fungi. Huh? Fungi are organisms like this, Like for example, you all would have seen mushrooms, right? Mushroom is a fungi. Have a look at some other fungi also. Okay, I guess I don't have the image of it as of now. See, basically what I'm trying to say that there are certain examples of organisms going through asexual reproduction, like you have a fungi. So how fungi reproduces now? Like this is the head of the fungi, for example. Okay, in the chapter microorganisms, we have studied about fungi, right? There, I think you
Yeah.
guys can recall this concept, right? There are thousands and thousands of spores in the bulb-like structure that you see. This bulb-like structure, it contains probably thousands and thousands of spores. So when the fungi is fully mature, so this bulb-like structure, it bursts open. It bursts open and it releases all those spores into the air right now. And wherever these spores will be lying, for example, whenever these spores will be falling, for example, you have a bread. So this spore will fall in this bread. From bread, it will start to obtain nutrition and then will start to grow. So fungi will grow here. Getting it now? So here, these spores are helping in reproduction. These spores are involved. Getting it, guys? This is just one such example. Okay, now. But in the case of sexual reproduction, sperm cells would be involved. They would be fusing together. The sperm and the ovum would be fusing together, and that's how reproduction will take place. Right now, this point should be clear. I think. Hmm? I
Yes,
think
sir.
this should be clear. Hmm. Then we learned they are genetically similar to their parents. Right now, genetically similar to the parents. In the case of asexual reproduction, as we learned, while they are genetically dissimilar to their parents in the case of sexual reproduction. The rate of reproduction is faster in the case of asexual, while sexual reproduction is rather a slower process. So hope this much is clear so far to both of you. Okay. Hmm.
Yes.
Next, we are going to be learning about sexual reproduction in humans. Okay, now we will be learning about this sexual reproduction in humans. Right. Okay. So there are the important things that we'll be learning in this topic is that first of all we will learn few important things regarding this on this topic, and then we'll be learning about the different reproductive parts in the humans. Like we'd be learning about male reproductive organs, we'd be learning about the female reproductive organs, and in the male reproductive organs we'd be learning about different parts of the male reproductive organ and what the different parts what are the functions of the different parts. Okay, now. So first of all, talking about the reproduction in humans. So obviously humans go through sexual reproduction, right? Getting it now. Another thing is that reproduction in humans will occur in certain stages. The reproduction in humans have been mainly categorized into three different stages, right? There are three different stages of reproduction in humans we should be learning. Okay. See, for example, a very basic thing is that in the chapter in class 8 standard, there's a chapter by the name of Age of Adolescence. Okay, now you all are in the age of adolescence right now, right? Your body physically and mentally, emotionally, you guys are going through a phase of transition right now. You certain times would be feeling so much energetic. Sometimes you would feel so bored and so low. Huh? Getting it? Someday you'd be feeling very excited. Someday you will not feel like doing anything. So you mentally, emotionally, and physically, you guys are going through a phase of transition. The shape and size of the body changes at this time. The height increases. The voice changes. But in the case of boys, what happens? Hairs start to grow. Facial hairs starts to grow. Right. In both male and female, hairs in the pubic region starts to grow. In the armpits, voice changes. These are different changes that occurs starts to occur. Also, Before an individual participates in reproduction, its body has to be mature, or more specifically, the sex cells produced in the body has to be mature. Getting it what I'm trying to say? So when an individual attains usually the age of 13 to 14, for example, in the case of male, when the male attains the age of 13 to 14 years of age, or female attains the age of 12 to 13 years of age, at that time what happens? The body starts to produce mature gamete cells. It's at that time that the production of sperms would start to take place in the male body, right? While talking about the females, the ovum, that is the egg cells, are already present in the body of the female since their birth, but it is not mature. It is only when they reach the age of 12 to 13 years of age that the ovum cells in the female's body develops and matures, and release of one ovum cells takes place every month. Okay, now so far you are guys are getting what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Okay, so the humans or the individuals before this age, they can't participate, they can't reproduce. Getting it? Because the sperm cells or the ovum cells at that time, they are not mature. So even before the fusion, before the merging of the ovum and the sperm takes place, their production is important, their production is required. No, getting it, guys?
Yes, sir.
So reproduction in humans is divided into three different stages. The first stage is called as pre-fertilization event. If I can, this is pre-fertilization event. This is the stage one. Stage number one, that is called as pre-fertilization event, in which what will happen? The production of gamete cells would be taking place. Okay, now pre-fertilization event. Got this so far? What I'm trying to say? So
Yes, sir.
pre-fertilization, it involves the production, or it involves the production formation of the male and female gamete cells, right? So it involves production of male and female gametes. Hope that much is clear to so far, clear to both of you so far. Then talking about the next stage, that is the reproduction itself. Okay, na? So in the case of, I mean to say, sorry, fertilization. The next stage is fertilization. That is stage number 2. In this, the fusion of the male and female sex cells would be taking place. That is stage number 2 that we call as fertilization. In this, fusion takes place. Fusion of gametes would be taking place in this. That is stage number 2. And after fusion has taken place, after the formation of the single cell called as zygote has taken place, then we enter, the human enters, the baby enters into the third stage. Basically, the third stage of reproduction is there. That is called as post-fertilization. After fertilization event. Getting it, both of you? Post means after, no? Post means after. That is post-fertilization. So hope that much is clear to all of you right now. So in the post-fertilization event, what happens? The zygote will further divide. How it divides, we'd be learning about that also. So it will start to divide. Okay, na? And it will start to divide, and eventually it will grow into a baby. So all this a development where the cells would be multiplying, cells would be differentiating, formation of tissues will take place right now. So that is the later part of the fertilization event. So hope that much is clear so far. Okay, now.
Yes,
So
sir.
here the development of zygote takes place. So these are the three different stages. That was one basic thing. Okay. Now next we would be learning about the reproductive organs. Okay, now reproductive organs in humans. So the first reproductive organ we would be learning about the male reproductive system first of all. Okay, now we'd be learning about this as of now. Now talking about the male reproductive organ. The male reproductive organ, its primary function would be to provide the sperm or to provide the male gamete for fertilization. Okay, na? Its primary aim is to provide the sperm or the male gamete cells. Okay, na? Now the male reproductive system, it consists of a pair of testes that would be enclosed into the scrotum, that would be enclosed into a bag-like structure called as scrotum. A pair of sperm ducts would be found in this. Sperm ducts, the one that you see over here. It's not clear in this image over here. Okay, now a pair of sperm ducts would be found over here. We'd be learning about all these structures in detail. Okay, now the one that you see in this yellow color, the yellow tube-like structure. So two sperm ducts would be found. Okay, and this muscular structure called as penis, that will be found. So the male reproductive system, what we have learned so far, it will consist of, let us start from here. It will consist of a muscular structure called as penis. Then it will consist of a tube-like structure via which urine also passes and via which semen will be passing. That is called as urethra. Then the third structure is the bag or sac-like structure that is called as scrotum, in which testis or testicle will be found. Testicle or testis, both are the same thing. Okay. Later on, we'll be learning about its main role. What is the main role of testis? Okay, now, and what is the role of scrotum? Then there are two. There are glands. There are two main glands. Okay, now that would be releasing their secretions into the semen. Okay, so we'll be learning about seminal vesicle and vas deferens also. Okay, so let us start the discussion. See, the primary function of this of the male reproductive organ is to produce the sperm, and the formation of the sperm takes place in the testis. Okay, na? It takes place in the testis that is enclosed in the scrotum. Okay, now getting it so far. The one that you see over here, this testis. Now talking about the testis, it is enclosed into a sac-like structure called as scrotum that is right behind the penis. Okay, now. So the testicles or testes that are present in this organ, so it is kind of hanging out of the body right now. And the scrotum would be doing certain movements, contracting and expanding in order to lower down the temperature. Why? Because formation of sperm takes place usually at a temperature lower than the normal body temperature. Formation of a sperm takes place at a temperature lower than the normal body temperature. Getting it what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
And scrotum provides lower temperature for formation of sperm. Getting it so far? So it maintains a lower temperature for the formation of sperm right now. So far, two things we have learned. That testes or testicles would be producing the sperms. Testicles are enclosed in a bag or sac-like structure called as scrotum, right? It protects the testicles and it surrounds the testicles and protects it, right? And kind of acts as a climate control system. We can see that, like it keeps the temperature of the testicle a couple of degrees below the below the average temperature of the body, around 2 degrees Celsius lesser than the normal temperature of the body. Getting it, both of you? Because formation of sperm would take place at a lower temperature. Okay, no? That is one thing. And this lower temperature is necessary for the formation of sperm. So far, I hope it is clear. So far
Yes.
we have learned about
Yes,
testis and this scrotum. Now, talking about this penis. So penis is a long muscular-like structure. It's a cylindrical shaped organ that has a small opening on its top, right now, and it would be secreting the semen, which contains the male gametes or sperms. Okay. So what I'm saying here, that the semen would be a white milky liquid. It will contain sperm and other things also. The semen contains sperm along with other things also. Okay, now we should be learning about in detail that what is semen. Don't confuse semen with sperm. Okay, now sperm is found in the semen. Getting it? Sperm is the main component found in the semen. Sperm is the main component found in the semen. While semen contains lots of things, it contains water, it contains lots of minerals also, it contains zinc. Getting it? It contains citric acid, it contains several type of enzymes also. Okay, now? So don't get confused between the two terms. Okay. So talking about penis, what I say that it's a long cylindrical muscular structure that contains a small opening at the top, and it would be secreting the semen. Semen would be coming out of this. Also, urine also passes out of this hole, out of this small opening. Getting it so far? Okay. Then you can look at this red tube-like structure, the red tube-like structure that is over here. See over here. That is called as urethra. So it's a tube-like structure that allows the flow of semen into the penis. That allows the flow of semen. Okay, now also this urethra also forms part of the excretory system also. Remember, we have had learned about excretion. Like you guys would have learned about excretion in your previous classes. In your previous classes in 7th class, I think you'd have learned about it, about the urinary system. So this urethra not only forms part of the male reproductive system, but also forms part of the urinary system. Because why the same urethra, urine also passes, and why the same urethra, semen will also pass and will come out of this hole on top of the penis. Is that much clear to both of you? Okay.
yes, sir.
So urethra is a tube-like structure which allows the flow of semen outside the body, and it also is the same passage via which urine would be passing. Getting it? Now you can look over here that this testicle that would be producing a sperm, so it has to go into the urethra now, basically, right? So all the way from here till here, this tube-like structure is called as sperm duct. What do we call this as? Sperm duct, or it is also called as vas deferens. So sperm duct or vas deferens are same thing. Getting it, both of you?